Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn how to use token-based authentication in Django REST framework. So the first thing is you need to install Django framework if you didn't have. So to install that, simply use pip install Django REST framework. So I have already installed this particular package. So now after the installation, you need to go to your settings.py file, and here you need at the top in the installed apps. You must register Django REST framework by adding REST framework. So after that, if you come at the bottom, you need to also specify some default authentication classes. So for that, you need to specify REST framework, then which is a dictionary, and then you need to specify a key called default authentication classes, which contains all your default authentication classes. You can also register some additional authentication classes or customized authentication classes of your own also. This is a list, and here the first default authentication is a REST framework authentication, basic authentication, and the second one is the REST framework authentication, session authentication. So now I'll go back. I have already created an app here. I need to register this. So here at the top, I will register the app users. Right. So the one thing, if you are using token-based authentication in Django REST framework, the one thing you need to remember is you need to also install REST framework .auth token. Okay, so basically, if you are using token-based authentication, you must also register this particular package in app section, because this contains certain models that must be migrated. So I'll go to URLs, and here I'll just add my users app so that we can handle incoming request. So now in our users, we need to create a urls.py file. I will copy some code from here and just remodify here. We don't need this thing, and I will import views under users app. So then I will specify app name as users. The next thing what we need to do is, the main thing of users app is the first thing it has a login through which we can if we pass username and password, it will return token. And the second one will be the user details. If I want to get user details, then I must have the token with me, otherwise I will not be getting user information. The first thing I will be adding is login, right? Basically this is actually a login API manage. This is a API view, so I'm going to use login API. So I'll create this login API view under use.py file. Here we need to import certain files from the Django REST framework. And the first one is, we need to, from REST framework.view, so we need to import APIView. And then from REST framework, we need to .response, we need to import response. And then we need a users model in Django. And then for authentication, we will be importing a token authentication from REST framework.authentication. So here I am going to create a APIView class. So this will be handled by the post request. The first one we need is a self, and then is a request object. So here we will get the user based on the username password they have entered. So whichever record matches the username will be the first one will be returned. And the next thing is I need to check whether the password given by the user is matches or not. If the user exists, and for to check the password we need to use the Django function called check password, and for that you need to import from Django contrib auth. Then from there there are some hashers. You need to import check password. So the so now in the check password the first thing you need to pass is the password which is sent in the request. So request post password, and the second one will be the password which is stored in the database. So in the database the password is stored in the form of hashes. User.password. If it returns true, then I can generate token for the user. And here you just need to pass user and the user. So this will generate the token for the user, and you must import this token model. So this will exist in the REST framework. Auth token dot models, and we need to import token. So now, after this I'll just return a JSON response. So I'll use this response object to return JSON, and here I'll pass token object dot key will return the token, and if the password doesn't match, then I will return an error message. Error incorrect login credentials. Okay. So before testing all these things, so one thing we need to do is I have a database here, and now it doesn't have any tables. The first thing is we need to migrate some tables in this. During the migration, it also contains Django REST framework token model. So to do that, so you have to use Python manage.py migrate. So here you can see there is a token table. Okay, here all the token keys will be saved here. So here you need to pass the user, and this is the key which has the token. The one thing to be noted is in Django, you can have only one key for per user. Okay? So you can't have multiple tokens for a single user. If you want to create multiple tokens for a single user, then you have to delete the old token and then recreate a new one. So now the tables have been created. So I need to add some users. to test. So here I'll just go to Python manage shell and import the user model. I'll create a user here. So the first thing is first, let me guess this first name. Then you need email. Then username. And password. Okay, so did we cover the whole fields? Okay, so now if you hit enter, so you have new user as created. I'll create another user. So two users have already been created now. Just quit the shell. Now I'll go back here. Okay, so to test this I'll be using some a tool called, you can use Postman to test this. Okay, or else I have a tool which is called Thunderbolt. Okay, basically I can, this is a package which I can do API request inside the Visual Studio Code. So I don't need to install a new application. If you want to use this, you can also use this. So I'll run my server. So copy the URL and this is users/login, and here we need to do a post request, right? Okay. So now in the URL what we need to do is we need to pass the username and password. Username as Kunal 123. Password. So first I'll try to give incorrect password. 6. Okay. So if I send, so it says that incorrect login credentials. Okay. So now if I give the correct credentials, so now you can see that it has returned me the token. Okay. Just copy the token. Just copy the token somewhere. Okay. So I will create. Now we have received the token. I'll create another. I'll create another API view where only the user who has token can only access that particular data. Okay, like user profile information and all those things, or a particular user information also. So here, to do that, I'll create another API view which is called user info. So here we need to mention a get request. The first is self, then the request, and you can so I'll search for the user using this primary key, user.objects.filter, or you can simply use get, because we are retrieving the single, we are returning the single user ID. So I'll return JSON response. So okay, so now I need to create a URL for this. So go to URLs, and here you can create a URL. So basically it will take a dynamic variable that is which is name is pk and the user info. So now if I create a new request, just copy this and create a new request, users, and here I will just use the 2, which is the primary key, and now I need the token. So just copy the token, and if I try to send without using authorization, then if I click on send, which is giving me correct information, but the reason why it is giving me is because I haven't specified authentication class here. So here is an option to provide authentication classes. For that, use authentication classes, and this is an array, and here you have to specify token based authentication. So if I click on this again, you can see we are even though we have specified here token authentication, we are still able to access this without passing a token also. So for that you need to import a permission class from Django permissions and is authenticated, and here also using authentication class you need to specify permission classes also. Has is authenticated, and now if you try to access the particular resource, just a minute, it is reloading, right? You can see authentication credentials are not provided. So here you can just copy this token authentication from here. So you must the keyword you must always provide here is the token. Most of the times for OAuth we use bearer, but you can change the later also. So now you can see that we are able to access the token, and if I just remove the token, we may not be able to access that particular resources. And if I enable this, so I can access the resources I want. I can also access other information. Okay, so this was all about Django handling authentication and generating tokens in Django REST framework. And also one thing that here when you are creating tokens, the one thing you need to make sure that to check whether the token already exists or not. So if the token is exist, you need to pass the token, and if it does not exist, then only it should create a new token. So Django does not allow to create multiple tokens for a single user. You can have only one token per user. If you want to renew the token, just delete the old token and create a new one. Okay, so thank you guys, see you in the next video.